I would love to, if you don't mind, if I can interject and bring a friend of mine up here to play.
Absolutely.
This is one of my dearest friends named Bobby Rouche, who is one of the greatest French horn, flute horn players in the world. He's known for playing many concert halls. He was in the Lincoln Center Chamber Music Society. And he's a fantastic jazz player, and has played in my bands for quite a long time. We've done recording together, and he's just fabulous. I'd like to introduce Bobby Rouche.
So now what's the difference between a French horn and a flugelhorn, Bobby?
Quite a difference. This is like a bridge between a French horn and a trumpet. I use a French horn mouthpiece, and the bell is bigger than on a trumpet. It's really closely related to trumpet, but a sweeter sound, more gentle. And this is a 4-valve flugelhorn, which you don't see very often.
And what's like a going price for something like that?
A couple of grand. It's relatively nothing for what it is. It's very reasonable.
Does it have a nickname? Do you have a name for it? Like
No, I don't. Not for this one, I don't. Maybe I'll find one today.
Yeah, exactly. I thought we would do some improvising, because Bobby and I really we gel. We really are like one together when we play, and so we're gonna go ahead and give you a performance of an unknown piece. And here we go.
it's interesting how that instrument could make a whole bunch of different sounds.
Yeah, well, after having a few crazy years and playing with Jeff, it inspires me. I don't make that many sounds by myself, but playing with Jeff, that's where I can go easily. I can go anywhere that I want to with you. It's wonderful.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Well, that's music, all right, when you have that nice combination. Now, Jeff, what would you say are the differences between you as a songwriter? Well, I guess the climate of songwriting today as to when you first got started writing songs. What differences?
Well,
are?
the major climate is that people were buying records at that time, and today they're not. So the business model is changed drastically for songwriters and artists. So we have to find new ways of content, what to do with our content, you know, the art that we write, and it's challenging. So one of the areas that I am very proud about is that I've delved into the international market for many years. I mean, starting in the early 90s, I was traveling to Sweden. So I've created pockets in different territories, and not only as my songs, but I'm also developing artists, amongst one that you just worked with, named Graziella in Germany. She actually found me, and I've written most of the songs for her record that's due to come out this year. But getting back to your question, the business model has changed. The art form has changed a bit, not too much as you hear. You know, you have artists like Bruno Mars, who I totally love, and yet they're kind of going back to the great songs. They're the retro sounding, John Legend's, Alicia Keys. But then you have a lot of I think music has changed a lot it's become more production oriented. You know, the Lady Gagas of the world, the Arcade Fire, and very, very sophisticated, because it's easy. It's not, I would say the word easy. It's economical to have your home studios, and technology has grown so much that you can do so much within your own your own home, and they're making fantastic records, production wise. So the whole sound of music has changed a lot. Songs, the great songs, everybody still needs great songs. So in that way, I still feel it's vital. It's a vital market, but the model has changed.
And so when you work with someone like Graziella, who you mentioned that Radio Free NY shot some really neat video with, what advice do you give for those upcoming songwriters?
My advice is to write for film, TV, commercials, write for any kind of genre, rather than just trying to be an artist or writing for Kelly Clarkson. There are many ways of making income in the music business. So music libraries are very good. I do a lot of those. Those are where you write for TV, radio. They're called needle drop, where you're writing instrumental music. You can, they take vocals. There are many companies all over the world, and it's a very good source of income. Finding ways, performing, touring, get agents. Really do your homework, and I think one of the problems with a lot of creative people is they don't know how to get their music out there, and I'm fortunate to have that hat on, which has helped my success in staying in the business, is that I really pick up the phone. I like to meet people. I travel. It's very important to get out there, and I encourage people to learn their instrument. As Bobby, as you just heard, we know our instruments, and we're learning. We're always learning. And I'll get into our mentor in a minute. But before I do that, I do encourage people to learn an instrument and improvise. Learn how to improvise. It's very important.
And though great musicians like the two of you are in the music world because you have the passion for music, at the same time, we need to put food on the table. So what sort of monies can be generated by having a song either in a film or a TV commercial, or CD sales or what
Well,
have you?
there's quite a bit of money you can make if you get on a big like if you get a Apple commercial or a Pepsi commercial. Today it is more about branding. There's a lot of the labels and managers are trying to get their artists on major TV and films. Financially, I mean, a very successful song, you can make $1 million. I mean, you can make quite a bit of money. Unfortunately, the sync fees are less these days because everything's getting tighter. So you can get $2 to $5 grand usually on a sync fee. You get performance royalties from ASCAP BMI. See, that's another area where obviously I can't get into it in this interview, but I encourage artists to really learn about publishing and learn about ways of, how do you make money? What does a sync mean? What is a master, a license? How do you learn about licensing and your music? And these are very important tools that it's really educational to know how to sell your music.
Well, we're going to, in a second, ask about your mentor, but while we're on the subject of getting your songs out there, one of your compositions, I read, I think in your bio, has a connection to people named Domingo, Groban, and the Pope. Can you explain that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I was very fortunate to, my publisher, I'm with Universal Publishing, and my publisher in London decided to fly me to Italy to work with a fantastic lyricist named Antonio Gagliati. He had a song on Josh's first record, and he thought it would be good for us to collaborate. He knows I'm a strong melodist, and so in 2002 I went over to Italy, worked with Antonio, and I was going over there at least once or twice a year. 2005 we wrote this beautiful melody, and we presented it to Josh Groban and David Foster, and they passed on the song, and no, too bad, it's a shame, it was a beautiful song. In 2008, Antonio's publisher met with Placido Domingo, and Placido was looking for melodies to adapt Pope John Paul lyrics, Pope John Paul II's lyrics to. And so he played them our melody, the one that Josh passed on. They loved it. Placido loved it. He said, would they mind if we can adapt the Pope's lyrics to it? This is after the Pope died. I think the Pope died in 2005. And so we did. We got a demo singer and presented it to Placido, and he loved it. And he said, I want to record it. And the name of the song is called La Tua Simplicita, which was what he wrote it in his last days. And life is simple. And it's a beautiful lyric, and Placido loved it so much that he decided to approach Josh Groban to sing a duet. So he played it to Josh, and Josh goes, oh, I love that song. So I think the moral of the story is, don't take a rejection seriously. If you really love your music or your a song or your performance, stick with it. And we did, and it ended up being a big hit for Placido and Josh. Jorge Calandrelli did a fantastic arrangement using the London Symphony Orchestra, and so I could say now the Jewish kid from New York co-wrote with the Pope.
So when you said it was a hit, is that radio or performance?
No, it was a performance. It was more the album. It did well, and
the sales of the
I
CD.
think and it's not even more than the hit. It's just prestigious to say that I have, I was a collaborator with all these fantastic
Sure. Now, can you force yourself to show off a little snippet of it?
I would need to. It's been a long time.
Right.
I would. It's sort of like. Very kind of big. Oh, here it is. Very big, kind of a big ballad, but I don't know it offhand.
Mm-hmm. I heard a really nice song of yours, When You Know, which I believe Sean Colvin recorded.
That's true.
And I imagine it was a high charted song.
It was, and I was explaining to a friend how when you write these songs for soundtracks, that's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, you really notice the performances and the sales are always generating. They're always coming back to you, and I mean, not big numbers, but they do very well. And I was fortunate to have Diane Reeves record that song. It was the title track to her last record, and she performs that almost every major performance. As a matter of fact, she just performed it in the Kennedy Center with Renee Fleming was the host, and it's going to be on PBS Masterworks. It supposedly was a highlight of the show, and I'm very honored to be a part of that.
Now with Sean's version, though, that
Yeah.
made it to a
Exactly.
film.
Yes.
What film was that?
It's called Serendipity.
Can you play?
I am going to play it, and I'm going to have Bobby improvise as I'm playing the melody. Okay.
Great.
And here it is.
Wow, now that is a magical moment, and I guess you could say music is magic when you strip away the vocal,
Yeah.
and it's that melodic.
Yeah.
That's
Great song.
that's
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
I remember
magic.
it. I didn't
You
use
did.
it.
He did.
Wow.
And by the way, Tom Kimmel, who's one of my favorite lyricists, co-wrote it with me, and he's a master. Tom Kimmel also co-wrote "Never Saw Blue Like That," which was another song that Sean Cohen recorded of ours, and Tom is beautiful, beautiful songwriter, artist.